After upsetting everyone by beating Chu last weekend, Terence Crawford is ready to face Murtazaliev.
Будь это Чарло, будь это Crawford, будь это Фундора, Спенс, не имеет никакого значения. Приоритет это пояса, если нету пояс.
Fans want to know if Terence Crawford will try to fight IBF junior middleweight champion Murtazaliev in a fight between the two weight classes after beating Tin Chu easily in the third round. Murtazaliev for the IBF junior middleweight title. He said there was no proof that he wouldn't be pushed again. He is only good because he has a title. Since he has a title, he can easily keep himself busy by fighting people in the ranks with the ADBFM leading the way. This will help him get more fans and show what he brings to the FUR division. But does Bud need supporters? Will Bud fight? Thurman thinks that Terence Crawford will stay away from Bakhram Murtazaliev after his surprising win over Chu. He also says that Murtazaliev is determined to protect his IBF title, but Crawford might be afraid to face such a tough opponent right now. Thurman says Morali's recent success has gotten a lot of people excited about the end of the division. However, it also makes top fighters like I.COFF think carefully about what they should do next. Keith then asked, who really wants and takes it? And said that person would beat his next opponent. Does Bam stay in his IBF lane protecting his title? He says he has to stay in his lane until another door opens up to do another great fight in this division of boxing, but right now he's got a lot of us excited about the big upset Bakhram. He went up against the favorite, Tin Chu, and the Australian says he didn't know what hit him.
Like, what did I get hit with? And I'm gonna regroup and I don't know, man.
Murtazaliev knocked the former WBA 150 for PB champion Chu originally with a left hook during an exchange in round 2. That was where things fell apart for the 29-year-old CH because he never recovered from that shot. What chance G had of coming back? He threw it away going on the attack and trying to slug with Murtazaliev when describing what happened, who says he got caught with a punch and couldn't recover from it. He kept getting up but wasn't going to work. Tin said, what just happened? What did I get hit with? I have to regroup. Pan, I don't know, man. Doesn't go your way and you have to bounce back. I was positive after Findora, but I got to find some answers after this. It didn't go to script. I felt unbelievable. He got me. He was the better man on the night. We lived and we learned at Chu Hop to recover from his split decision loss to Sebastian Findora in March. That faced a harsh reality against Murtazaliev, who dominated from the start. Murtazaliev knocked you down 3 times in the second round, leaving the Australian barely able to make it to the bell and needing a check from the doctor before being allowed to continue. It wasn't long before Chu hit the canvas again, and with the referee warning he would stop the fight after one more knockdown. Sue's corner moved to prevent that from happening. Tin definitely underestimated Bam's power and pay the price. However, Tim praised his opponent, saying, congratulations to my opponent for the tremendous performance. Yet we move on and regroup. Pan, my team will be back again. I will be back. I'll still be a big F soon, and I got to find plenty of answers for myself. Of course, it will be very difficult for Chu to rebuild himself after the latest defeat, because many of the top fighters in the 150 for PB class will expose his flaws in the fight. Even the younger fighters like you of Taz would take advantage of what Murtazaliev has exposed.
Told me from a young age, never give up. And if you shoot for the stars and you crash and burn on the way, just keep going. And I'm gonna keep going and keep reaching for them stars. Thank you all.
Terence Crawford says, Tim, you took Murtazaliev of lightly focusing on other fighters. He wanted to meet Crawford, who holds the WBA 150 for pounds title. States that Murtazaliev was just as strong for the former WBO champ Chu. Crawford wrote, Tim thought he had an easy one, took this dude lightly and was worried about other fighters. Tim thought he had already won a fight before he went inside the ring with Bakhram. For the fight, Tim was already looking into the future, planning on fighting bigger stars Quinn and Errol Spence and thinking of Bam as a stepping stone. Tim said this before the fight, I'm leaning more toward Findora beating Spence due to activity and height. I don't know what Spence is, but still, a Crawford fight against me would be cracking. Styles make fights, and that one would be one hell of a show. I think Crawford did well against Israel Madrimov. Critics are always going to be like that. Maths is not a bum. People don't understand that. This clearly shows that Tim's mindset regarding this fight wasn't the best. Underestimating a champion like Bakhram, who has an exceptional knockout ratio, is not the wisest thing to do, and Tim had to pay for this finally before the fight. Sean Porter highlighted the fierce competitiveness of the 154 pounds division, stating that it is currently the toughest division in boxing. He stated that Tenno is easily among the top 3 fighters in this category, reflecting his skill and potential. Porter emphasized that the depth of ability in this division presents a challenging landscape for any contender. By recognizing Su's place in the top tier, he underscored the high stakes of Su's future fight against former backer Murtazaliev.
Landscape at 154. Where's Tim Tszyu sit in there?
It's becoming the hottest division right now. 135 is still really high. We've got some of the lighter weights. 26 is really hot. 68, 75. We've got some hot divisions right now. I feel like 154 might be the most competitive division in boxing right now. And I think Tim is still, even with the loss that he got to Fundora, we saw how the fight unfolded, why it unfolded, or possibly why it unfolded the way that it did. Tim's been in the top 3 at 154. I think 2023. I think that was the first time I come over there to Australia, ever since I've seen.
However, now that the fight is done and dusted, Porter thinks that she came into this fight with an arrogant attitude, which led to his quick exit. Porter said they shouldn't have tried to fight fire with fire. That's his style. I get that, but I feel like moving and turning was the right thing to do. You put that on coaching. As far as getting back to world contention, I'm not sure. When you've been at the top, you're a step away from getting back there. There were many others that already deemed you the winner. Danny Bates had vast confidence in you but acknowledged the fight's difficulty. I think from mid-fight all the way to the end of the bell this is going to be a sweaty shows. Not that she is not going to. I think Chu is going to win for sure, but I'm talking about making it to the final. I think Chu chose the play for me in this one. Paulie Malignaggi highlighted the importance of the fight, noting that despite the differences in profiles between Chu and Murtazaliev, the winner will greatly raise their standing in the competitive 154 pounds division. It's not a walkover, even though one may be more well-known than the other and one may have a bitter profile and the other, but it's a fight where the winner certainly raises their profile tremendously. If it's true he's back in the win column and back in the mix, and if it's Murtazaliev, you know what, now you've got a different player in the 154 pounds division, a weight class that is already rather full of talent. Boxing Anil Gab pointed out the hurdles the two would face. In the ring, he noted, I can see after the last fight he's more hungrier. Goal of assessment emphasized Tszyu's heightened determination following his defeat to Sebastian Fundora, suggesting that this matchup might show a more driven and focused version of Chu. He added, listen, it's not an easy opponent. The way to take him is to study his history and rewatch his fights. The dangerous part of him is he's really tough and he's dangerous. He looks like he's hurt, and it's where the party's always at heavy hands. Tim Zarafa's younger brother, Nikita Chu, made a bold prediction regarding her back, Murtazaliev's toughness. He stated he looks like he has a hard head. He's got a very thick skull, so Tim's got to punch holes into that skull. He's got to start learning how to punch walls. Nikita stated that Bam has a fighting style that makes him easy to hit, and he believes that Tim will break Bam down and stop him in the later rounds of the fight.
He's got a style that's pretty easy to hit. He comes forward a lot. I think Tim will kind of just break him down throughout the rounds, and I see just see him breaking him down over the end throughout the course of the fight and possibly stopping him by the.
Unfortunately, this wasn't the case for Tim, as Bakhram didn't let him start his offense. Chris Algieri warned against underestimating Murtazaliev, highlighting the fighter's skill set despite his lack of mainstream fame. He stated, I don't know how much this would be a huge upset. Murtazaliev is actually a very good boxer. He's got a very good right hand. He's basic. He's physically strong. And he's big and tall for the weight class. This is not an easy fight for Chu. Not a walkover by any means. Just because we haven't heard of him, or the fighting public hasn't heard of him, doesn't mean the guy can't fight. Algieri emphasized the significance of the fight for Murtazaliev, noting this is a huge chance for morale, but it's certainly not a walkover whatsoever. Tin Chu has got his hands full because Murtazaliev can fight. Teeter said that Tim would face immense pressure, considering that a loss now would put a halt to his promising future. He said Tin Chu is the rival in this fight, and he needs to bring the goats. A loss here for it is not career-ending for Chu, but it's catastrophic and seriously damaging to his image if he loses 2 in a row. Tim comes into this fight with that load of pressure and expectation. The battle underscored the high stakes for Chu, emphasizing that a win was crucial for him to regain his standing in the boxing world community after his earlier loss. He turned back from Murtazaliev and noted the potential danger he posed, saying that Murtazaliev, probably given the fact that he's maligned and unknown, can just go out there and throw the bombs that he throws to battle. Warren said that her impressive record and the desperation that comes with being underestimated make her a significant threat capable of delivering powerful punches even in the later rounds. A desperate man is a dangerous man, and I think Mural, while underestimated, has a 20-2 record with 16 knockouts that shows he's got the power and can transfer that power to the later rounds, as he did against Ko in his last fight when he knocked him out in the 11th round. Battle stated that Tim Chu must make a statement in this fight against Bakhram Murtazaliev to solidify his status in the 150 pounds for PB division. He emphasized that a victory is essential for Chu to reaffirm his place among the top contenders and regain momentum after his previous loss. Winning this match would not only boost Zarifa confidence, but also signaled to others in the division that he is a real threat, making it a pivotal moment in his career.
Back-to-back losses in the fight game can be really hurtful. So particularly for a guy like Tim who wants to be the king of the 154 division, maybe ratings-wise to a lot of people he is, but in terms of belts he's not. So this is where Tim needs to make a statement in this fight, and then over the next 12 months to become potentially a unified champion at Super World.
Considering that there were many who weren't tend to take Bam seriously, it's no wonder that Bam winning the fight is no fluke. After the fight, Bottle felt you was a little bit cocky early. He said, "I don't think you're in the right in this fight to control." He was watchful early, and then in the 3rd or 4th round he started to apply the pressure, but in this fight he tried to almost bang early. This is a terrible loss for Tim Chu. Ben Damon described to Tim Zariello at Unthinkable Land a monstrous upset, highlighting the shocking nature of the result against Bakhram Murtazaliev. He said, "It has been an obliteration in Orlando. Tim Chu down 4 times and Bakhram Murtazaliev keeping his world title in a one-sided D-Town." Keith Thurman discussed Tim's era skills, emphasizing his confidence when signing the contract. He remarked that there was nothing special about Chu, saying that Bakhram Murtazaliev and his trainer claimed Chu was a cookie-cutter opponent made from A. Thurman noted that they were able to make their point in the fight.
I mean, look what the left hook did, man. You know, I was obviously confident when I signed the contract. I said there's nothing special in what Tim Tszyu brings to the table. Earlier this week, because I was on the analytical side this evening, earlier this week, I got to interview all the fighters. And, you know, Bakhram clearly said that him and his trainer said that there's nothing special about Tim Tszyu, and that Tim Tszyu is just cookie cutter made for Bakhram. And not only were they able to say that, but they were able to prove it.
Thurman, working as part of the broadcast team for Premier Boxing Champions, offered a thorough analysis of Tim Tszyu's performance in his recent fight against Bakhram Murtazaliev. He pointed out that Chu looked unable to make necessary adjustments after being hit early in the match. Instead of adapting his strategy, Chu continued to fight in a way that ultimately led to his downfall, as he was knocked down 4 times throughout the bout. Thurman stressed that the Murtazaliev team had fully prepared for Chu, identifying his weaknesses and crafting a game plan that effectively exploited them. He noticed how Murtazaliev's success with his left hook was a clear indication of this preparation. Thurman highlighted that Bam had previously claimed there was nothing special about Chu, and during the fight, he showed that assertion to be true, dominating the former WBO 154 pounds champion. He further added, "Look what the left hook did." Bam clearly said that there's nothing special about Chu and that he's a bread cutter made for Bakhram. Not only were they able to say that, but they were also able to prove it by rushing back into the fight, which finally led to his downfall. Thurman's words point out a major flaw in Tszyu's plan. He should have used his jet to slow things down. "Keith told me I couldn't keep doing the same thing. He knew he was hurt, but he tried to jump back into the fight right away instead of taking some time to heal and working behind jaw to slow things down." From the outside, it looked like you could see Tim shaking on the ground, and it looked like we could see reverb from the punch. His whole body was telling him to stop. Thurman showed him how to spike while his feet were not steady. Tszyu still tried to throw an overhand right, which Thurman saw as him being too sure of himself. At the end, he stood back up just before his managers gave up. He was on Bond's legs and couldn't stand up, but he still had the G to come with an overhand right. That year, he came over here and tried to show that when you go from a small pool to a large pool, you meet some big fish. He's not that scary or dangerous. Caleb's plan took into account how unpredictable boxing is, pointing out the sport's many highs and lows. He said that both boxers were great athletes and that the fight would be tough. He wasn't sure what problems they would face in the ring.
You know, it's boxing, a lot of highs and lows, so.
Yeah, for sure. Crazy, right, Caleb? I don't think anybody gave Murtazaliev a win by knockout.
I mean, maybe not that fast and that early, so.
Yeah.
But both are great fighters, so I knew it was going to be a tough fight.
It will be very hard for Chu to come back if his manager doesn't put him up against weaker opponents. No one knows how long that would take. Zeus might have to fight weaker guys all year long in 2025 who can't punch and will give up when he hits them. He should also think about getting a new fighting coach to help him get better. If we're putting him back in with someone good, it's important that he take a step back against a lower-level opponent for his Chu is 29 but he's been fighting a lot of older guys and weak competition. To build his record, he's going to have to retool his game and focus on fighting a bottom-tier fighter to work on becoming more of a boxer so that he doesn't continue to lose right now. Fight with fellow Australian boxer Il Zarifa is the best choice for Tim Zarifa. Also chimed in on this matter and had a dig at CH by saying that he's nothing like his father. Zarifa expresses strong views about Sarah's performance and his public persona, which he thinks has been living off height and hasn't proven himself as a fighter. This sentiment represents the doubts that some fans and fighters have about his abilities compared to his father's legacies. Zarifa said, "I can tell you exactly what happened. Chu has been found out. I've been saying for a long time the guy isn't who everyone thinks he is, but Chu has a great height team around him, and he believed it. He believed his own height, and he got found out. As you can see now, he's nothing like his father. He came into this fight saying he was going to face Canelo. Tim was fighting a real world champion, and he overlooked him." Zarifa revealed that there were already discussions about this fight, suggesting that both fighters have a lot at stake going forward. He further added, "My phone, it's been blowing up. People haven't stopped calling behind the scenes. There was already talk that if I won against Nikita, then I got Tim, but there was also talk that if Tim got beat by more, I went straight to him. So our fight has to happen now. It will happen too." Clash was determined to show that he still belonged among boxing's elite. To defeat against Fura was a tough pill to swallow, especially given the conditions that surrounded it. Chu suffered a severe cut from an accidental elbow in the second round, which greatly affected his performance.
Cut happened, and may have been the left elbow of Sebastian Fundora.
Well, they didn't have it on my monitor. I looked
Right here, take a look.
Let's see.
He leans in, watch the left elbow. There it is. The left elbow, the forearm of Fundora.
Yeah, basically.
In spite of the pain, he fought with great heart and determination, but lost by a split decision. Before his fight with Murtazaliev, he also thought about his loss. Fundora admitted that it was a hard experience and said, "I learned a lot that night. It wasn't just about the loss. It was about how I handled adversity. Fighting with a cut like that, I had to dig deep. It showed me what I was capable of."